Hi, guys, and welcome back to my podcast. This is your host, Betty, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. So, today, I wanted to talk to you guys about depression. That's something that you guys know that I'm going through, but I feel like I need to be a little bit more specific because sometimes it feels like people don't understand what really like what I'm going through. They see me all like happy and I'm always like so cheery and like, trying to get into a positive note all the time in my podcast or in my life, or just like I don't act like I'm sad, depressed all the time. Even if you're in my house, I don't act depressed, which is what I feel like I need to like clarify, not just for me, just in general, because this is part of the stigmas that are, related to depression. So basically, depression comes in so many different ways, and it can present itself in a normal day as anything. One day you're just laughing about yourself, you're just making jokes about you, laughing and just living and doing things, but that doesn't mean that depression is gone. Basically, for me, I live my life as if I didn't have depression. Well, try at most. I basically just try to avoid this whole I'm gonna act depressed, because there's I'm trying to better myself. Basically, the thing is, when you don't act depressed, people don't believe you're depressed. So that's where the issue comes. Like, people are like, well, you look fine, how can you say you're depressed? Or people don't really believe that there's things you just cannot do because you're depressed, or there's things you cannot do because you're anxious, there's things that you cannot do because you're struggling, because they don't see you struggling, because they don't see how your mind, it's really struggling to just like stay alive and just continue doing things that it's supposed to. And that's one of the things that for me, it's like, the more I've been understanding about mental health after I was properly diagnosed with depression and anxiety, after I was going through all the ups and downs and having panic attacks and anxiety attacks and depression episodes, it was something that I started to look more into and understand more. Because before, I used to think, probably like a lot of you guys think, like, hey, well, you don't look depressed, or why can you just like feel better, or like so many things that people just say, people who don't understand really what's going on. There's people that think that if you are suicidal, that, or if you have suicidal thoughts, or if you're doing any self-harm, it's like you're trying to get attention, which is not true at all, unless you just don't have any issues. And then who knows, who are we to judge anything about other people, other people's feelings and emotions? Like, we don't know that. So technically, what I'm trying to get at is, yes, there's been times where, or when people feel depressed and they feel like they self-harm, but they never tell anyone because they're afraid they're going to be judged by other people. Like, they're just going to be called attention seekers, which is not right and not true. I've had issues with that. I've been called an attention seeker. Like, is it just all you need? Is all you need attention? It's like when a little kid is throwing a tantrum and parents are like, well, you just want to get more attention or what? But that's not how things are or how things work when you are depressed. And it doesn't work like that when a kid is trying to get your attention. That's a different meaning. But being depressed and self-harm and not being able to tell anyone because you feel like they're going to be judging you for what you're doing, which you don't need any more judging because you're doing all the judging yourself because you don't feel right, you don't feel okay, you don't feel normal, you don't feel like everybody else. And on top of that, you're already putting a lot of pressure into yourself with these things and having to deal with everybody else telling you those things that you hope that they were not true, things that you put in your head, but you hope that they're really just in your head, and that's not what people think, and that's not how people feel about you. And then when people say it, you just start feeling worse. Like, how can I feel my feelings if people are just going to be judging me for them? Like, how can I express myself to my friends when I feel like they're just going to judge me? Like, oh, you have all these things in your life, why would you be depressed? Well, first of all, things do not get rid of depression. Depression, it's a mental condition, it's a health condition, it's something in your brain that you cannot change. Sometimes it comes as a genetic trait, sometimes it comes because of trauma, it comes because of things that had happened to you. It comes with so many different chemicals. Probably cortisol is one of the ones affecting as well. If you have high cortisol, there's a lot of things that happen in your body when you have high cortisol, and they're not like talked about. Like, I was just reading an article about why people stay awake. Like, why people, there's a lot of people that wake up at like 3 a.m, and every day they wake up at that time, and sometimes they struggle going back to sleep. So in this article it said, why does that happen? Well, sometimes, there's different reasons besides sleep issues, besides sleep disorders and all that. Sometimes the level of cortisol, which is the stress-related hormone, this level is too high, and our body stays more awake, in theory. So basically, naturally, this hormone is supposed to activate itself. It's supposed to get higher so that we're able to wake up in the morning. It gets higher so that our body starts to wake up. But when the levels that we have are higher than normal, then we start waking up at different times when we're not supposed to be awake. So this all becomes a whole thing, and like I said, it's not something we can control. Of course, we can try to, control what we can, but not everything we can control. And that's the thing. No one can control everything. And a lot of people, have problems because they cannot control things. I've had issues in the past because I cannot control things, but I've let go of them, and I realized, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do to change anything. I cannot control it. I just have to let it go because it's just going to hurt me more. And that is something that I just don't want to have to go through, because I already go through so many things. And for me, like, being a mom and having to still get up every day and do things and take care of my daughter and cook and clean and do things, literally just the simplest things like shower, it's not as easy when you are depressed. Literally, depression will take away every feeling you have of wanting to do something. Obviously, you would still do something. That is what they call a high functioning depressed person. They usually call them high functioning something, high functioning alcoholic, high functioning anxiety, because you can still perform and do your things while you still have this disease. So in my case, yes, I am high functioning. I try to deal with things inside, and I try not to burden people until I just can't do it anymore. But that's the thing, people don't see how much you're hurting until you tell them, or until you literally have to explain to them that you are not okay. That even though you want to go out and have fun, you just can't, because your body is just not there. You just can't. There's things that we literally cannot do. Excuse me. There's an example. There's many examples of this. Like I said, taking a shower. People will be like, wait, why haven't you showered? Well, I just really don't feel like showering. I really feel like I don't have enough energy in my life to shower with all the other things that I have to do. That's just one example. Getting out of bed. Why don't you get out of bed? Because I don't have the energy. Or why do you go to bed so early? Well, because I just want the day to be over and I just don't want to think anymore. And a lot of people don't see that there's a lot of things we do, even us, even like me. I don't realize that sometimes I just want to go to bed early because I just can't deal with the day anymore because I'm depressed. I have a depression disorder, and my brain is just like drained, and I just want to go to bed and just forget about the day and the stress and everything. So, there's days like that. There's days that I just don't feel like showering. Obviously, I don't stink. I still wear deodorant and dry shampoo and all the other things. But, sometimes there's people that other people question them, why don't you have a job? Which is, I think, a big one, because they start thinking you're lazy. They're like, well, she just doesn't want to have a job. She's just lazy, or he's just lazy. But that's not what that's about. It's about you just don't know how you would deal with all the aspects of your life, and then having to deal with all the aspects of your work. Like, we know that most of the time work is stressful. If there's any jobs out there that are not stressful, that's cool. I mean, there is levels of stress, levels that we can, sometimes we're just in a rush, or we have to be very productive and stuff, so we get a little bit stressed about that, or deadlines and stuff. But there is a line where it's like, I don't think I can get up every day and go to work and deal with people and just literally, we're gonna have to put a fake smile on our face. We're gonna have to pretend that we're happy. We're gonna have to pretend that we are who we're not. We cannot just cry in the middle of the day at work when we get into an episode, or when we start panicking, or because people are gonna start looking at us like, whoa, they have issues. Why are they even working? But sometimes just even just simple things. And I feel like that is one of the major reasons why our generation is enjoying a little bit more of the remote work from home and all that, because we don't have to be there. We don't have to sometimes, we don't have to change your clothes. We don't have to get out of pajamas. We don't have to look all made up, or makeup on, do our hairs, and put perfume or cologne or anything like that. We don't have to go and talk to people. We don't have to wear uncomfortable shoes. We don't have to pretend like we're something we're not. We can just do it on our own. I know this is not general thing, but it did happen to a lot of people during COVID, that they prefer to just stay working remotely and work from home, and this is when it all started booming, like a lot of digital marketing and like all these other things. Like just try to find different types of income that doesn't require you to be in an office from what they call the 9 to 5. So, there's obviously people that do prefer to be in an office with people and hang around and whatever, but they also there's people that prefer doing that, but also have like freedom on their schedules. There's people that go to workplaces, co-works and stuff, where they're still working around people, but not, just enough to like hang with the people, but they can still have the freedom to, do their own things on their own time. Obviously if they have deadlines, they will know to get it done whenever they have to get it done. People are not going to be like on your, like literally on you, like when are you going to finish this, when are you going to finish this, when are you, like they're not going to be checking on you all the time. They're not going to be like literally just on you all the time, which, some people need that, but just some people don't understand the pressure that some things put into somebody with depression. In my case, for me, it's honestly like everything is hard. I'm not gonna deny that. Just getting up in the morning is hard. Washing my face is hard. Taking a shower is hard. Brushing my hair is hard. Doing my hair is hard. I love my hair, and you guys, if you don't know me personally, if you haven't checked my socials, my hair is red, so it requires a lot of maintenance. And before I was always wearing my hair down, and at some point I started wearing my hair up all the time because it was just too much. It takes me, like, I just have to get through things so that I can actually get them done. Like, it's just like little steps, like there's little encouragements, there's little things that I have to do to make myself do things, because I just don't have the energy. Like, even like little things, sometimes it's like, oh, I gotta work on this, and then all day it's like, I gotta work on it, and I just can't. I just cannot get myself to do it, because I just don't feel like I have the drive at that moment. I don't have the energy to put everything in it. Like the other day I started writing, and I wrote so much. I think I wrote like 4 pages of something, and I still have to edit it, but it was just because I had a moment where I was inspired and I was fine, and those moments fill me so that my depression is less. But also to get to those moments it's hard. So it's just, give and take. So for this reason, some people have to be on medication to not be so depressed all the time. And this is why I am a high functioning depressed person, because I take my medication daily. I've changed medication twice, I think I told you. And right now it feels like it's control enough, like the depression itself. I don't feel like sad or like the world is ending all the time. I am able to take my emotions and like deal with them, because sometimes when you are very depressed, you just cannot deal with your own emotions, and that's when everything else shuts down. At this point, I can deal with my emotions and put those things aside and continue with my life, but then the things that I have to do in my life, then they become hard. If you have ever taken or seen a test about depression, they ask you usually, do you feel like this? How often do you feel bothered by this or that? And then at the end, after you answer yes to some questions, then you have to say does this symptom affect your daily life? Do you feel like it affects the way you work? Do you feel like it affects the way you live, the way you sleep, the way anything? So for a lot of people, it does affect like a lot. And that happens to me. Like, I might say I'm not severely depressed anymore, but I'm still, because it's controlled with the medication, but I'm still moderately why I cannot say that word, moderately depressed, or I'm never not depressed, which you would say, well, maybe you should take more medication for that. But I feel like the amount of medication I have is enough. It's just the things in my life, they sometimes get too hard, and we all go through a lot of things, right, that we have to deal with. And right now I'm going through a difficult time, and just I try to deal with it the best possible, for my daughter. But that doesn't mean that I'm okay. But that doesn't mean that I'm not okay either. Some people will be like, whoa, why don't you just do this or that, or change this or that? And it's like, it's not that easy to just take steps like that when you feel the way I do. And I have to deal with my own emotions. I've always been, this independent person. I know now has nothing to do with being independent, right? But I have to be able to control my own emotions, because there's things that I cannot control. So if I am feeling very anxious, I'm going to try everything that I can to go back to not anxious or not so high level of anxiety, so that I can continue to live my life, because that's the only thing I can control, just what's in front of me and what I have with me. But the rest, whatever happens in life, whatever happens in other people's lives, I cannot control. I cannot, as much as I like to talk about destiny and the horoscopes and all that, I know that this is not something that's being controlled by someone. So I just have to let go of that and just believe that what happened will happen, like I said, and maybe this is why I also believe so much in the horoscopes, the astrology, and all those things, because it kind of gives me a reason that things happen. It's not that you're just some person full of bad luck, or you're just hated in this world, or God hates you, or whoever, or you feel like things just never work out for you. But this way, I feel like there was a reason behind it or something. Sometimes we just try to explain what cannot be explained, just so we can let go of the control. So that's something that I do. And I've had friends, like I said, it's very difficult for people to understand this if you haven't gone through it. Excuse me, because I know I've been before. If somebody told me oh my god, I want to hurt myself, or I try to kill myself, or things like that, I'll be like, well, why? It doesn't make sense. You have a good life and you shouldn't do that, and you should feel better. Yeah, right, because if we tell someone that they should feel better, they're gonna feel better, right? Just because we said it. No, that's not how it works. We have to, yes, support this person as much as we can, and we have to try to understand what they're going through. And if there's nothing we can do, all we can do is be there for them. To be honest, like I said before, I'd be like, why would somebody try to kill themselves? Why would somebody try to hurt themselves? I just didn't understand that until it happened to me. So I've done some self-harm, and I actually had to look it up and all that, because it's not that I wanted to die or anything, but I just wanted the pain to stop. So in this case, it's something called non-suicidal self-injury. So this is when people do things like burn themselves or cut themselves, and they do things to hurt themselves, but they don't do it because they want to die. They just don't. Like I said, I've done some self-harm myself, but I never did it to the point where I was bleeding out, or I was it was just something so quickly so that it would take the pain away that I was feeling in my body at that moment. In my mind, I wasn't feeling the pain in my body, sorry. I was feeling the pain in my mind and in my heart so badly that I just wanted it to stop. So when you transfer your mental pain to a body pain, the mental pain stops, because your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. So that's what I did. I didn't understand why I did it at the moment until I started researching more. And I also wanted to have, an explanation for people that would ask me, why would you do that? And not say, oh, I don't know. And it's okay to say, I don't know, I believe. Because some people just don't understand what's going on in their minds. But I feel like it's way harder for people like me to try to explain to someone who doesn't want to understand. Then I just feel worse, because it's I'm sharing this very thing, personal thing with you, and you're just judging me when I thought you were going to be there to support me. We all need support, and there's so many things. So yes, and I've had friends told me that they had friends who have tried to kill themselves, and or they said things like, oh, I should just die, or whatever, it's a joke. And the only thing that I've told them, it's all you can do is be there for them, let them know you're there, and if you can reach out to them, if this person is just a friend of yours, reach out maybe to their families and have them check on them. More than anything, people need to be checked on. People need to be checking on you, or just every so often check on people, because you never know why somebody is being so quiet, and then it's too late, and then people are like, oh my god, that's such a tragedy, this person killed themselves, or they committed suicide. But nobody thought it was tragic or bad when they were depressed. They were just judging them. They were just saying oh, why would they do that? So that's where the line is, and we have to learn how to live with the line and just not judge other people, because we never know. Sometimes all they need is a hug, or just words of encouragement, or just to know that you're there, even if you're not saying anything to make them think otherwise. If you're there for them and you help them just have a better day, a better life, maybe, you can help a little. But there's nothing you can do to change either. When somebody commits suicide, if you feel like I could have done more, you don't have to feel guilty for that either, because sometimes there's nothing anybody can do. Like I said, we have to relinquish this control, and sometimes there's nothing we can do. There's just nothing we can do, and we have to understand that. And it's so hard, because how do you help somebody when there's nothing you can do, or when it looks like they don't want to be helped, when they push you away? sometimes people push you away because they need you. They just want somebody to be like, okay, I'm gonna push this person away, see if they come back. And if they don't, then we feel like, oh, why didn't they come back? So they didn't care about me? And then we just start feeling worse, you know? So if somebody's pushing you away, maybe give them a little bit of space and then come back and check on them. Because you never know. We never know what anybody's going through. And it's just a very difficult topic. And again, I've never have tried to kill myself, but people think that I have because of my self-harm, and it's not true, because it's not the same. For me, it was like I want to die, and sometimes we don't know it, and we don't have to say I want to die. Sometimes it comes in little sentences like, I just want this day to be over. Or like, I just, I can't deal with things anymore. Or like, this is too much. When there's that burden in people, it just becomes very difficult to continue. But that doesn't mean they're going to do something. But when you start hearing things like that, that's the right moment, for you to start checking on them and see, hey, everything going on? Is everything fine? Do you need some help? Whatever, before it's too late and they get to that point of like, I shouldn't be just dead. And then people just like look at you like you're crazy. But they're laughing because there's nothing else they can do to control that thought, to control those impulses they have. So, we gotta start looking at things from everyone's point of view. It's something that I try to do. I try to like see things from someone else's point of view, and try to change my point of view sometimes because it's too antiquated, it's too stubborn, you just have to be open with people so they can open up with you. If you don't agree with something someone does, that's okay. You don't have to do it, right? But you have to let them unless it's hurting them. And if it's hurting them, all you can do is try to be there for them. And, all you can do is try. But don't abandon people because they're pushing you away. Because sometimes all they want is for you to come back and be there. Sometimes we unconsciously, wait, is that a word? Unconsciously? Wait, what's the word I'm trying to use? Oh my God, I'm sorry. Sometimes we do things we don't want to do, but like we do, like when people tell, their boyfriends, like the boyfriend is going to the gas station and they ask, do you want me to bring something? And we say no. And they don't bring you anything. And then you feel like, why didn't you bring me anything? And, if you explain that to them, they'll be like, well, you said no. But it's not about that. It's about, if you see something that makes you think of me, you should bring it to me, It's just about those little thoughts, about having people in our thoughts. And, that applies to a lot of things. So sometimes we push people away because we want them not be gone, but we need somebody to show us they can be there. Sometimes that's all people want, honestly. I know that sometimes that's all I want. I don't think I do it anymore. I don't push people away. Now I'm more of like, I take my distance from toxic people. That's different. But I don't think I self-destruct myself like that, where I I push people away and I test them to see if they come back. But I know there's other little things that maybe I do there to see if people would like give me the response I need, and sometimes it doesn't happen. But again, nobody reads minds, nobody can know everything, and this is just, like I said, it's all my opinion and how I feel. So yeah, I hope this has given you a little bit of insight as far as depression goes, as far as like high functioning people, because it's sometimes really, really hard to just do things. And it's even harder when you get judged. Like, why wouldn't you just do this? Why wouldn't you just do that? You know this is better for you. Well, yes, I know. That doesn't mean that I can do it. That doesn't mean that I have the energy. That doesn't mean that I have the power or the will or anything in me to do it. Because there's so many other things that are going on in my brain, that are going on in my life. So we have to take it, I am doing it, taking it one day at a time, one thing at a time. And just right now I'm not even looking into the future because I can barely see my right now, my present, and it's hard. So I just don't want people to put pressure on themselves. Like I said, if you suffer from depression, if you're suffering in silence, you want to talk to someone, I'm here, send me a message. There's also lines, there's numbers you can text, places you can go on the internet, talk to someone, talk to a therapist, talk to a friend, talk to a family member, talk to somebody that you feel like you can trust, and somebody you feel like would understand you. And if they don't, that's okay, because not everybody can understand everything. Sometimes people just get shocked by something you tell them, and it's not like they're rejecting you. And the other way around goes the same. Try to be as understanding of somebody that is going through something like this, because that's all we want. We want to be understood. That's the whole point of this. Everybody needs to be understood, and we all need help. Nobody can do this alone. So know that you're not alone. I'm here. And I hope this has given you guys some insight on this. And I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.